What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're evening things up, ladies and gentlemen. You see, the other day I showed you the last couple of Decepticon-only cards from Wave 3, which is War for Cybertron Siege. So I figured, well, now it's only fair that we complete the set by showing you all of the Autobot cards we've yet to look at, which are Autobot-only, and coming out in Wave 3. It just seems like the right thing to do. Don't like leaving things incomplete. So let's start off having a little bit of a look at Compact Shield. Now, Compact Shield is an Autobot card. It can only be put onto Autobots. And at first glance, it's a fairly underwhelming card. Gives you +1 defense. That's it. It's an armor, it gives you +1 defense, that's what it does. And as a card, when it's attached as an upgrade, as an armor, that is all that it actually does. And it's Autobots only. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. Back in Wave 1, we had the vanilla armored plating that gives you +1 defense and can be put onto Autobots or Decepticons. But the twist is here with Compact Shield that it's got a black icon. And I've made the point in a bunch of videos, black icons, at least according to the designers, the players seem a little bit mixed on them, but remember, the set's not out yet. We've not all been sitting there testing, playing with the set loads, so the reality is we don't actually know all that much, and we won't until we've got a couple weeks testing behind us. But the player base at the moment seems split as to how good black icons actually are. What black icons do is they give you +1 Pierce 1, until end of turn for each one that you flip. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, there will be rare exceptions where you're playing something like Blur, where you can attack twice in a turn, and then you get the benefit of the Pierce from black icons for both the attacks. But generally speaking here, we're just getting Pierce 1. And the thing is, we see this over and over again in what we see in Wave 3. Underpowered cards, cards which are objectively not great, but they've got a black icon. If you're not looking for the black icon, there is absolutely no reason whatsoever to ever play Compact Shield over Armoured Plating. Because Armoured Plating does the same thing, it can be put on Decepticons as well. So really the question here is, do you want the blue icon to help you out when you're defending? Or do you want the black icon to help you out with your Pierce? That's what it really comes down to. And the thing is that defense and Pierce go very nicely together. Generally speaking, if you're playing a defensive deck, you're playing a lot of blue icons, and you're trying to stop your opponent getting KOs. The problem is you're looking for characters with high defense, which generally means lower attack, and you're looking for blue icons, which generally means fewer orange icons, which basically means that you're not actually getting enough. You're not doing very much in terms of damage. So what you do is you get your Pierce going. Now, Pierce guarantees damage equal to your Pierce or attack, whichever is lower. So if you've got Pierce 3, attack 6, you do 3 damage. If you've got Pierce 6, attack 3, you do 3 damage. But the goal with these kind of decks is to sit there defending, not letting your opponent do very much, and then doing a little bit of damage here or there with Pierce while your opponent's not taking KOs. And that's cool. But the other thing we need to look at here is, if we're just looking for +1 defense, well, we can do better. So Aerial Recon, you put it on planes, and it's a utility, so it doesn't even take up your armor slot, and then you get +1 defense, while also being able to look at, and if you like, scrap the top card of your deck when you attack or defend. That's a really handy bonus. Bashing Shield sees a fair amount of play. It gives you +1 defense, and when you put it on a character, you get to scrap an enemy armor. Not to mention the fact that you also have a green icon here, so you do have the potential for just, well, getting it out, finding it far more easily. And that's kind of my point here. There are other ways to get +1 defense. I mean, if you're looking at cars, you can get +1 defense using bumpers. while also stopping damage counters being moved from other characters to yourself. So if your opponent tries to use something like a bombing run, you're like, sorry mate, not to this character. And the point is, we've got other ways to get +1 defense. So look, our conclusion here is really where we started with Compact Shield. It's fine, but honestly, you're playing it for the black icon. If you want the black icon, this gives you extra defense. If you're playing a piercing deck, if you're playing black icons and you want to boost your defense, this will do that. But if you just want to boost your defense, there are far better cards in almost every situation. And they ain't limited to Autobots only. Cool. So, how about Diagnosis then? This is the other Autobot card that we're getting, which helps Autobots. Now, the other thing that a bunch of people have mentioned here, hang on a second, this is out of alphabetical order, and it is, incidentally. This card is not in the order that we would expect it to be. And the answer, extremely simply, is, got renamed. It was in order, and then the set numbers got fixed, and then they renamed it for whatever reason, and yeah, it ended up out of order. So you'll go through in alphabetical order: 53 Smoke Thrower, 54 Diagnosis, 55 Special Ops Mission. Yeah, clearly, ladies and gentlemen, clearly, this is weird and out of order. But that's alright, they renamed it, it doesn't matter. What does it do? Repair 1 damage from one of your characters. If your starting team was Autobots only, draw a card. Oh, cool. Now, this has a white icon, which is very nice. It means that when you flip it while attacking or defending, you get to flip 2 extra cards. Only the first time, incidentally. And we've talked about a bunch of stuff like Private Tyraxodon, etc. lately, which really like white icons. And the good news is they're all Autobots. I'm not going to get into it too much in this video. We've covered it in a couple ones recently, so you can go and check them out. But basically, you got Private Tyraxodon, and then from Wave 1, you've got Jazz, you've got Mirage, and you've got Chromia. Go and check out the Tyraxodon video and a couple others if that's what you're into. But the good news is, they're Autobots that love white icons, and this has a white icon. And the white icon here is kind of important, because, well, repairing 1 damage isn't great. Because we've got better repairing cards. I mean, we've got Repair Bay, which heals 1 or repairs 1 damage from each of your characters. But it's got an orange icon, not a white. And if you want the white icon, then this is it. And similarly, we've got Medic, which is getting a lovely alternate art reprint in Wave 3. That heals 2 damage from a character, but healing 2 damage is deemed to be so good, Medic doesn't actually have a battle icon. So healing 1 is fine, but if you just want healing, we got better options. Similarly, if you want to draw 2 cards, I mean, the standard here is Pep Talk. Pep Talk, blue icon, draw 2 cards. Okay, it's not phenomenal, but bearing in mind that Universal Network Access lets you draw 3 cards, and that's a star card, yeah, okay, it kind of makes sense that drawing 2 would be the standard. So basically, Diagnosis then, it's an Autobot-only card. You cannot, now technically you can play it if you've got Decepticons on your team, but if you've got Decepticons on your team, you just repair 1 damage from one of your characters. And if you really want repairing with a white icon, okay, I get it. Don't necessarily agree, but I get it. But outside of that, you're really playing this so that you can repair 1 while drawing a card. And repairing 1 isn't great, and drawing 1 card isn't great, but doing both of them at once, I can kind of be into that. I can kind of get on board with that. That makes a little bit of sense to me. No, it's not a phenomenal card for either of them, but when you start building in both of them at once, you're on to a bit of a winner here. Again, we're talking about the kind of card which isn't for every deck. You've got to be playing Autobots only, and you've got to want to have a little bit of healing and a little bit of draw power. You need all of that working together, but I can certainly see some uses for this. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the last two Autobot-only cards that we are going to be getting in War for Cybertron Siege. Though, of course, there's going to be more. Or to be fair, I should say War for Cybertron Siege 1, because Wave 4 is going to be War for Cybertron Siege 2, and one's got to imagine that there will be more Autobot-only cards. We tend to get a couple in every wave. So I've told you my thoughts about these, but I would very much like to know your thoughts about these. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games like Transformers, but also Final Fantasy and Pokemon and Keyforge and whatever takes our fancy, really. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.